You know, I thought this would be a fun place to film a video about 5 reasons why you should not buy a Rottweiler. But now I'm kind of a little worried with this setup that my dog's gonna be kind of loud with the audio here. But come on, dog. Come on, good girl. So if you hear like a bunch of panting and dog noises throughout this video, I'm sorry for that. I should have accounted for that. Come on, flip around, flip around. Come on, this way. Right here, take it. Good girl. So yeah, like I mentioned, this video is gonna be 5 reasons you should not buy a Rottweiler. Having said that, I just want to get into it right away. I really like this breed. This is my first Rottweiler, and as you can see, she's chewing a bone right now. She's not super aggressive with the bone, even though there's like kind of that stigma against Rottweilers. I really like this breed a lot. So just keep that in mind as we go through this video, that even though I'm talking about the 5 reasons you should not be getting a Rottweiler, I personally like them, and I think throughout the rest of my life, this is going to be like one of the primary breeds that I'll have if I have any more dogs after this. So let's get right into it. I think the top thing that everyone thinks about when they think about Rottweilers and kind of reason you should not be getting one is the aggression. And I'll admit that they are kind of like more prone to aggression than other breeds that I've dealt with. So I've had like mostly mutts through my life. Mostly just like once to the pound adopted dog. You don't really know what breed they are. There's some mix of things. I've had friends with like golden retrievers and just a variety of different breeds I've been around. I haven't had that much exposure to Rottweilers before I bought one. And I went into it thinking, you know, there's like this whole thing about like, you can't judge a breed like pit bulls and things like that. It's like, it's all just like kind of propaganda against them about how they're aggressive. And I kind of bought into that whole thing. Like if you look into anything, people say like, it's all about how you raise them. It doesn't matter at all. It's like, there's no aggression. You can't say a breed is aggressive or not. That's not true. Like some breeds are more aggressive than others. For whatever reason, we could talk about how a breed might be smarter, it might be more loyal, more protected, it might bark more, might make more noise. But you can't talk about how a breed has like a trait where they're like kind of more prone to aggression. I don't think that's like doing anybody any favors. I agree that there's like bad stigma against pit bulls, and how you raise a dog plays a lot into their personality. But at the end of the day, more breeds are going to be more prone to kind of like be willing to be aggressive. The training plays a lot into it, but there's still underlying things that have been bred in over thousands of years as we've had these different breeds and things. And it's like, I think we need to be honest about the level of aggression within certain breeds. So I wouldn't say this one was very aggressive. She definitely is more kind of prone to it than any other breed I've had. She loves growling. She kind of is a bit more reactive than the other breeds I've had. She's not the most like social when you kind of take her to dog parks and stuff. But as you see right now, she had that bone, and she was like, I can touch her and stuff. She's not gonna like bite me. She's never bitten anybody. I've had other dogs that are willing to bite people, but she likes growling. She likes being kind of like just loud, a little bit gnawing and kind of like nipping and stuff. Never actual bites, but she can definitely turn it on a lot faster than any other breed I've owned. And all of that has to do with training. Like I was never trained her to be aggressive. But she's still kind of, she's just more prone to it. Right now she's going after a spider that's jumping around. Come on, out! Get out of there. Leave the spider alone. Come on. And there's that stigma against it, but I'll get into that more later. But anyways, the number one reason you should probably think about not getting a Rottweiler is just if you don't want to deal with a dog that's just kind of more prone to that type of aggression. There's some dogs you just can't really turn it on, like golden retrievers, Labradors. Like even if you're trying to make them aggressive, they're not really super open to it. They might not really go into it as much as like one of these. If you're trying to make her aggressive, or you just weren't careful during raising her and socializing her and everything like that, this dog is definitely more open to kind of going down that road. So you have to be careful with the training. You have to maybe work with a professional trainer if you've never really had a dog before. And just kind of be on top of it. If you've noticed kind of these aggressive traits or growling, they're kind of being a little bit more barky, bitey. And just like stay on top of it and kind of like temper it down as soon as you can. Because I don't think we're doing any favors by pretending that doesn't exist. And it's just something you have to be aware of with this breed. Number 2, with Rottweilers, you might be able to notice in this video, you might not be able to, but there is hair everywhere right now. These dogs, which I didn't really realize when I was getting one, have a double coat. I just assumed they're kind of like short hair dogs they're not gonna have like a ton of hair. That's not true at all. This dog sheds more than any other dog I've ever dealt with. I'm constantly vacuuming, sweeping, cleaning up, brushing. Like, it's a non-stop chore to keep the hair kind of manageable. And even with that, my kitchen right now is covered with hair. They have this thick double coat, which you also have to keep in mind if you're in a warmer area. We're in the Seattle area, which runs kind of cool, but like, during the summer, I just like don't really go hiking with her. I don't take her out. We don't do a bunch of like strenuous things in the heat, just because she does not like the heat. These are kind of like dogs that do much better in the cold. All winter long, she's willing to like go play outside, be out in the rain, go hiking in the snow. She likes the cold, but with that double coat, you just have to be aware. So like if you live in Phoenix, Los Angeles, the Southeast, places that are typically pretty warm year round, you might want to like think twice about having one of these dogs, just because it's not really the ideal climate for with like what they've been bred for and their coat structure and all that. And if you're just not willing to deal with a ton of hair, you might not think it's like not one of the dogs that comes to mind when you think of like ones with shedding problems. You always picture dogs with like long, really thick coats. Well, this is like kind of deceptive how much these dogs shed. So if you don't like shedding, then if you don't like shedding and you live in a very, very warm area, you might want to think twice about adopting a Rottweiler. The next thing is these dogs, they're kind of bigger dogs. She's a bit on the smaller side of the breed. They typically go from like 80 to 120 pounds, but regardless, she is a big dog. And with big dogs, you have big dog problems. That includes just like food. They eat a lot more, so you're paying a lot more for food, for treats, for medication. When you get a prescription, it varies a lot based on the weight. So a bigger, heavier dog is going to require more pills and more medication than a smaller dog. And especially as they get older, they might need like arthritis medication. And that kind of goes along with them being a big dog. They have more bone, arthritis, joint issues than smaller dogs. So across the board, you're spending more in everything. You're spending more for medication, for food. Going to the vet kind of costs more, because sometimes with smaller dogs, you can kind of manhandle them if you need to do some type of procedure, get them checked out, examined. A large dog, you can't really kind of force into position sometimes, and you have to have them sedated if you need a kind of like a thorough examination. She does not like her ears being checked, and it's very hard to get, like if she gets an ear infection or just anything like that, get that checked out without having her sedated. So that's an additional fee. And then the more likely, like I mentioned, the joint problems. She had both her back legs, her knees replaced. It was like a CCL tear. I did a whole different video. I'll put a link in the description for that. But each of those knees were about $3,500, $4,000. And those kind of issues are very common for large dogs. So you just want to keep that in mind. And also with large dogs, you have to be able to make sure that you're willing to be able to handle it. Especially when they're puppies, they can really kind of pull you around. And if you're kind of a smaller person, like not very strong, it can be a little bit too much to handle. And I've always told everybody that you should not adopt a dog that you're not able to easily carry. Especially if you want to do things like hiking. As they get older, you might need to like lift them in and out of cars, up and down stairs, on top of like examination tables. There's just so many different things that can happen with a dog where you might need to pick it up and actually carry it. And if you can't pick up an 80 to 100 pound dog, you should really think twice about adopting a dog that large. I know there's like a lot of people, especially like there's women that are like large dogs. And I don't think a lot of people consider that you might actually have to handle these dogs in terms of like, you might have the best dog in the world, but there's a lot of loose dogs. If it gets in a dog fight, you might need to like physically pull the dog back, lift it up, like get it out of that situation. It might get hurt. There's just so many different things where you need to be physically able to kind of like handle that dog. And I mean like pull it away. What are you doing? Lift it and just like really exert your strength over that dog. And that might not be because of the dog. It might just be because something you can't handle or the dog can't handle. So I would highly recommend you don't get any dog where you can't just like physically manhandle it if you need to. Her, with both those knees, I was carrying her up and down stairs for about like, I would say 6 to 8 months. So that's a lot of like weight to be carrying up and down stairs every day, and it really kind of got to my back after those. Like, I started really getting some like back pain after a few months of doing this. Thankfully, I kind of work out. I'm like somewhat physical, so like 80 pounds is not the end of the world, but it's something to keep in mind. Number 4 with Rottweilers, something to keep in mind is that these are not athletic dogs. They're very, very strong. They have a lot of stamina. They're working dogs, but I would not describe them as athletic. She's not very good at jumping. So like if I need her to like jump in and out of cars, if it's a little bit too high, she can't really do it. It's kind of a positive because we have low fences around my house and she can't even really get over, not so much shaking, sorry. We can't even get over she won't be able to jump over a fence that's about this tall, which is nice because it's very easy to kind of pin her in and keep her in a little spot because she can't just like hop over it. But if you want to be like hiking and doing a lot of things where you need a lot of agility, or you might have to like hop over a log or maybe kind of like go up a little scramble, these are not the dogs for it. She can handle a long hike, like she has the stamina to go on a very long walk, but she can't be jumping, she can't be running. I adopted her kind of with this idea that we would go on runs and she'd be kind of like my partner while we're running. She's just like not into running. She'll sprint around, she'll walk forever, but she's not gonna be running for like 2 miles. It's not something that's part of their breed. They're just like not really bred for that kind of like agility. And in addition to that, this breed has very strong herding instincts. And what I mean by that is like they will very much try to like guide and push you in certain directions. So whatever it is, I start running and she'll get in front of me and try to slow me down and kind of push me and kind of like try to guide me to slow down and just like keep in order. And that kind of goes along with their like the breed is just like they're bred to kind of keep animals in control, like work on a farm, kind of pull things, do kind of like slow kind of farm animal type things. So it does not make them great for things like hiking, running, just things where you're kind of doing like faster, more high intensity exercises. She'll pull things forever, lift things forever. You can throw a little backpack on her and she'll carry it just fine. But you're not going on a long run with one of these dogs. You're not jumping over anything either, are you? And finally, number 5, I've alluded to this throughout this video, but go this way. Go, turn around so everyone can see you. Over here. Nope. Good girl, right here. Sit. Okay, that's lame. So yeah, the very last thing in this video that I want to talk about is there's a very strong stigma against Rottweilers. Not as bad as like a dog like a pit bull or those other breeds, kind of like that. But regardless, people see these as aggressive dogs. They're very, very, very loved. I get a lot of attention with her. There's a lot of people that love the breed. But people that are not that familiar with it just assume this is a very aggressive, mean dog. And they kind of want to stay away. They might make hurtful comments, kind of make ignorant comments. And if you're not really comfortable dealing with that on the day-to-day, if you're taking them out to dog parks and people kind of like keeping their dogs away from you and just like interpreting the growling as like this being a very aggressive, mean dog, this might not be the breed for you. If you're kind of like a confrontational person, you're going to take that to heart. It might not be worth like fighting with people all the time because they're just making like these kind of ignorant comments about your dog. Like, I don't really take it to heart anymore. I understand like where that comes from and why people might be a little hesitant. I kind of just show more through example that she's kind of a friendly little dog, doesn't really have a bunch of aggression. But you just have to like kind of let it roll off you when someone makes that weird comment like that and just kind of like live your life. So if you're like not the type of person that can kind of deal with those weird comments, then this might not be the best breed for you. Because at the end of the day, these are like not super aggressive dogs as long as you raise them right. But she can be a little bit like, she can turn around sometimes. Sometimes I go on very late walks around like 11 o'clock, midnight at night. And if someone's just like crossing the street unexpectedly approaching us, she turns it on right away. She's like barking, ready to like go and protect us just because whatever's in her, she's very willing to like protect me and our little like pack. This dog is not great at protecting property. If I'm not home, she just does not care at all. She'll let anybody into the house to kind of like roam freely. But if there's anybody here that she knows at the house, it's a different story. She's like very much going to protect the house from anybody that she sees as an intruder. What's kind of funny is like I leave her by herself here a lot, and I'll call different people to come, like maybe if I'm out for a long day and I need someone to like let her out to use the restroom. I'll have people come in here that she has never met before, and she's very excited to meet these people that are just kind of coming into the house, taking her. She's just like ready to go off and enjoy the day with them. There's absolutely no kind of like protective instinct there if I'm not home. Completely different story if I'm home with her. She's very much protective, but that last thing is just like keep in mind the stigma that people are going to say weird things and people have an idea of what these dogs are like even if they've never met them before. And if it's not something you're really wanting to deal with, you might want to get just like a more kind of like well-established kind of friendly dog like a Labrador or a Golden Retriever or something. But I really like these dogs. I really enjoyed this one. She's been very expensive with all her little medical stuff and all her little things, but she's very lovable and she's been a great dog. So those are 5 reasons you might want to kind of like rethink getting a Rottweiler if you're like on the fence, you're trying to like understand the breed a little bit better. So yeah, that's kind of all I have to talk about. I really like this breed, and as long as you're willing to like kind of put a little bit of work in and understand their strengths and limitations, they can be a really great companion.